The Two Lovers by Marie de France. Les Deux Amants. There happened once in Normandy a famous adventure of two young people who loved each other. Both died because of love. The Breton composed a lay about it, and they gave it the title Les Deux Amants, the Two Lovers. The truth is that in Neustria, which we now call Normandy, there's a wondrously great and high mountain. The two youngsters lie buried up there. Near one side of that mountain, with much deliberation and judgment, a king who was lord of the Pistrians had a wall built. He named the city after the Pistrians. He called it Pistre. The name has lasted ever since. The town and its dwellings still remain. We know the region well. It's called the Valley of Pistre. The king had a beautiful daughter, an extremely gracious girl. He found consolation in the maiden after he had lost his queen. Many reproached him for this. Even his own household blamed him. When he heard that people were talking about his conduct, he was saddened and troubled. He began to consider how he could avoid anyone seeking to marry his daughter. So he sent word far and near to this effect. Whoever wanted to win his daughter should know one thing for certain. It was decreed and destined that he would have to carry her in his arms to the summit of the mountain outside the city without stopping to rest. When the news was known and spread throughout the region, many attempted the feat but couldn't succeed. There were some who pushed themselves so hard that they carried her halfway up the mountain. Yet they couldn't get any farther. They gave up there. So, for a long time, he put off giving her away because no one wanted to ask for her hand. There was a young man in that country, the son of a count, refined and handsome. He undertook great deeds to win renown beyond all other men. He frequented the court of the king. He stayed there quite often, and he came to love the king's daughter. And many times he pleaded with her to grant him her love and become his mistress. Because he was brave and refined, and because the king thought highly of him, she granted him her love, and he humbly thanked her for it. They often conversed together, and they loved each other truly, and as much as they could, they hid their love so that no one would discover it. This restraint disturbed them greatly, but the young man made up his mind that he would rather suffer such hardships than be too hasty in his love and lose everything. He was so hard-pressed by love for her. So it chanced one day that the young man, who was so wise, so brave, and so handsome, came to his beloved and made his complaint to her. He earnestly begged her to run away with him. He couldn't stand the pain any longer. If he asked her father for her, he knew that the king loved her so much that he'd refuse to give her up unless the suitor could carry her up his arms to the summit of the mountain. The maiden answered him. "Dearest," she said, "I know very well that you couldn't carry me up there for anything. You aren't strong enough. If I ran away with you, my father would be grief-stricken and angry. He would suffer for the rest of his life. Certainly, I love and cherish him enough that I would never want to upset him. You'll have to think of another scheme because I don't want to hear any more of this one. I have a relative in Salerno, a rich woman with lots of property. She's lived there more than 30 years. She's practiced the medical arts for so long that she's an expert in medicines. She knows herbs and roots so well that if you want to go to her, bringing a letter from me with you, and tell her your problem, she'll take an interest in it, that she'll make up such prescriptions and give you such potions that they'll fortify you and give you lots of strength. When you return to this region, you'll ask my father for me. He'll think you're just a child, and he'll tell you the agreement that he won't give me away to any man, whatever pains he may take, unless he can carry me up the mountain." The youth listened to the idea and the advice of the maiden. It delighted him, and he thanked her. He took leave of his mistress and went off to his own country. Quickly, he supplied himself with rich clothes, money, palfreys, and pack mules. Only the most trustworthy of his men did the youth take with him. He went to stay in Salerno to consult his beloved's aunt. On her behalf, he gave her a letter. When she had read it from one end to the other, she kept him with her until she knew all about his situation. She strengthened him with medicines and gave him such a potion that, no matter how fatigued he might be, no matter how constrained, no matter how burdened, the potion would still revive his entire body, even the veins and the bones, so that he would have all the strength he needed the moment he drank it. The young man took the potion and returned to his own land. He was so joyful, so happy, he wasted no time at home on his return. He went to the king to ask for the king's daughter. If the king would give her to him, he would take her and carry her to the summit of the mountain. The king made no attempt to refuse him, though he took him for a great fool, because the lover was so young. Many great men, hardy and wise, had undertaken this task, and none could accomplish it at all. The king named and set a date. Then he sent for his vassals, his friends, everybody he could summon. He wouldn't let anyone stay behind. Because of his daughter and the young man who is taking the chance of carrying her to the mountaintop, they came from everywhere. The damsel prepared herself. She fasted and dieted, cut down on her eating because she desired to help her lover. On the day when everyone arrived, the youth was there first. Sorry, I'm distracted by someone's bringing me tea.
I'm very distracting.
On the day when everyone arrived, the youth was there first. He didn't forget to bring his potion. Toward the Seine, out in the meadow, and into the great crowd assembled there, the king led his daughter. She wore nothing except her chemise. Her suitor lifted her into his arms. The small phial containing his potion he gave her to carry in her hand. He knew well she'd no desire to cheat him. But I'm afraid the potion did him little good, because he was entirely lacking in control. Off he went with her at top speed, and he climbed until he was halfway up the mountain. In his joy for his beloved, he forgot his potion. She noticed he was growing weak. "Love," she said, "drink. I can tell you're getting tired. Now's the time to regain your strength." The youth answered, "Sweetheart, my heart is very strong. I wouldn't stop for any price, not even long enough to take a drink, so long as I can still move an inch." The crowd below would raise a racket, deafen with their noise. Soon they'd have me all confused. I don't want to stop here. When they had gone 2/3 of the way up, he was on the verge of collapsing. Again and again, the maiden begged, "Dearest, take your medicine." But he wouldn't listen or take her advice. In great anguish, he staggered on. He reached the top of the mountain in such pain that he fell there and didn't rise again. The life went out of his body. The maiden looked down at her lover. She thought he had fainted. She knelt beside him, attempting to give him his potion, but there was no response. That is how he died, as I've told you. She grieved for him with loud woes and cries. She emptied and threw away the bottle that contained the potion. The mountain was well doused with it. The entire region and countryside were much improved thereby. Many a fine herb now found there owes its start to this potion. Now, I'll tell you about the damsel. When she knew she had lost her lover, you never saw anyone so grief-stricken. She lay down and stretched out beside him, took him in her arms, pressed him to her, kissed his eyes and lips again and again. Sorrow for him struck deep in her heart. She died there too, the maid who was so brave, so wise, so beautiful. The king and the others who were waiting for them, when they saw that they weren't returning, went after them and found them. The king fell down in a faint. When he could speak again, he grieved greatly. So did all of the companions present. They stayed there mourning for 3 days. Then they ordered a marble tomb and placed the 2 young people inside it. On the advice of everyone present, they buried them on the mountain's summit, and at last they went away. Because of the sad adventure of these young people, the place is now called the Mount of the 2 Lovers, And it happened just the way I've told you. The Breton made a lay about it. Dorian